everybody, this is Karen. Welcome back to our channel called Our House, and in this video we're going to go over geography and mapping skills. Does the Robinson curriculum cover it? If so, how? So if you're interested in seeing how Robinson curriculum kids do learn about geography and mapping skills in simple ways that you can incorporate it into your homeschool life, then please stay tuned for the rest of this video. And also, before we go on, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. I do a lot of Robinson curriculum videos, and I will be doing a lot more in the future. This is kind of a little mini series. The next one will be about what about science and what about this subject or that subject. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed, and let's get started. So welcome back, everybody, and this is a question that gets asked a lot. I think I see it in comments. I get the question. I've seen it in the Robinson Curriculum Facebook group. And so I've kind of compiled my thoughts and kind of the general consensus and answers from other people to make this video for you. Now, does Robinson Curriculum cover geography and mapping skills? If you're thinking in the lines of you want something that tells you this week you're going to teach these states and capitals, this week you're going to go over these countries, if that's what you're looking for, then no, you're not going to find it with the Robinson curriculum. However, that doesn't mean that kids are not learning these skills, just not in probably more the traditional way that you're thinking of. But for now, let's dive into the question as to why. Why doesn't the Robinson curriculum cover that? For those of you that may not be familiar what exactly the Robinson method is, you're covering the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's very strong and heavy on those 3. So you have an hour of math, usually you have an hour of writing every day, and you have about 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours of reading every day, and that's it. And children do it on their own, and it's meant to be self-instructional, self-taught, freeing up the parents, liberating mom from that just constant lesson planning, buying things, getting burnt out, teaching several different subjects to several different children at the same time. So that is the large appeal to it, and the goal is to raise independent thinkers, self-sufficient adults, and children who love learning and are able to teach themselves whatever they need to be taught later on in life. Now, I realize that the way we educate our children is a sensitive topic for a lot of people. You feel protective of your choices and you're very passionate about what it is that you're doing. Obviously, that's why we're homeschooling in the first place. But as I talk in this video about the approach and tips and things like that, I'm not bashing what anybody else is doing with geography. I'm trying to be really careful with how I say things. Mainly the point that I really want to get across is what may be a blessing to some is a curse to others. I shouldn't say a curse, I should say a burden, okay? What may be a blessing to others may be a hindrance or a burden to other families. And I heard that in the group, and I thought, wow, that's so true. What other people can be like, yeah, so excited about, and we love this, and this is great, feel like such a burden to the mother who's overwhelmed or who's going through a different stage in life. More children, more health problems, their children have health problems, whatever it may be. Every family is different. Every family has a different situation. So what you think is great, maybe you think it is great to memorize all these city, states, and capitals. Maybe you have the time to do that. Maybe you have the time to, do these mapping games and skills and all kinds of things. It just might be a burden to somebody else. Okay, so with that in mind, thinking about the Robinson curriculum, it's kind of put out there: do you want to raise children that just are reciting facts, or that are learning how to process things, how to think, how to gather information on their own? See what I mean? We know that the 3 R's are the basic blocks to learning. So if a mother sometimes is spending too much time on all these various subjects, they're not really focusing on those building blocks, and so things kind of start to crumble. So I can really appreciate these 2 viewpoints, is what I'm trying to say. Do you want your children just to memorize? In 1492, Columbus made the first of 4 trips to the Caribbean on 4 separate ships, named the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Yes, we all know that song. We all can sing that song. They can recite that. Or do you want your children, as they read the Christopher Columbus book in the RC curriculum, do you want them to know, where he was born, where he was rejected, how his crew turned on him, how tragic his life ended, what was his relationship with the Queen of Spain? All those things. Would you rather them just recite and know that fact, or would you rather them know all that about Christopher Columbus? The same about George Washington, the same about General Grant. My kids know a lot more about those people than I ever did going to high school and memorizing facts. Now, you may be thinking both. I want them to know both. And hey, go for it. If you can, if you're in that season of life, if you want to do both and you have the means, then by all means, I'm not trying to stop you, go for it. However, if you have to choose between facts and knowledge, if you have to choose, if you only have time for one, if you only have the energy for one, if you only have the finances for one, if you only have the capacity for one, which one are you going to choose? The Robinson curriculum leads towards, of course, the knowledge aspect of it. So that's kind of my whole introductory spiel on it. You can hear the Robinson curriculum homeschooling talk where he talks about, should children learn Latin? It is useful, sure. However, it's not necessary. And what are you giving up in exchange for teaching that, that language? If you only have a certain amount of time each day, what are you willing to spend it on? What do you want to focus on? And obviously the emphasis is on the 3 R's, because that is the building block to everything else. I don't know all my 50 capitals right now. However, I think I'm a pretty well functioning adult. Don't stress out about it. Don't worry too much about it. Now let's talk about what are some ways that Robinson curriculum kids do learn geography and mapping skills. Obviously, this is completely up to the parents and the children and their schedule. So I'm just giving you some ideas of things that I've seen being tossed around. I saw this mentioned, I thought this was pretty cool, was Operation World, where they pray for a country each day. I thought that was interesting. Of course, we have, just good old-fashioned placemats. And these are really great to just have on the table as they're getting ready to have their meal served, or they're eating and they're looking around at all the different states. And there's like facts on the back of these, so you can get these anywhere, Amazon, real cheap. I'll put a link in the description. Maybe do like a history timeline, around the house, where yes, it's historical, but it also has location of places, so you can do that as well, so kids see different locations. You could just have books like this around the house. My kids like looking at this picture atlas of the world. For example, we were reading Tuckett's Travel, and it was all about westward expansion. I talked about that, and so we looked on the map, what the route was and things like that. So these are handy to have around. So I talked about this in the dupes video. These books are fairly inexpensive. Draw the USA. There's Draw Africa, Draw that country, this is Draw the USA. And, they just state one state at a time. They complete a map of the United States. So this will keep them busy for a little bit, and they are learning their states. Now, if you don't want to buy those books, I talked about this in my dupes video, how you can just make your own, just print maps and have the put them in sheet protectors and just have the kids trace them with dry erase markers. Of course, it goes without saying, you can watch YouTube documentaries on Netflix. There's tons of videos on YouTube on songs for the songs to learn the states and the capitals, countries. Another really just kind of natural way is when you're talking about the books that you're reading. For example, Around the World in 80 Days, you can get a map and track all the places that they're going. Or I like 50 Famous Stories. This is kind of our family read a lot as well. Every story that you're reading, talk about the setting. Where was it at? Where was the setting of the story? So that's just kind of ways to do it through the books. Some people from the RC group, whatever book that they're reading, they just talk about the geography of where the book was written, what time period. Obviously the G.A. Henty books are really excellent for this in teaching geography. And I do know that a lot of people do RC and CC together. That's a lot of initials. Robinson Curriculum and Classical Conversations. I do think it kind of goes well together, because if you're just doing it at home, no stress, because you're just memorizing some facts, singing some songs. So if you have time for that, you don't have to get everything. These are just like the Cycle 1 cards. Geography, you know, tell me about the Hebrew Empire, Judah, Israel, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Phoenicia, Sea of Galilee. Tell me about the African countries, Ethiopia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Madagascar. As you can see, I'm not even that familiar with all these countries, but like I said, I'm a functioning adult, so it's okay. I hope that answers the question, how does RC cover geography and mapping skills? Short answer, it really doesn't. Long answer is there are ways, you know, through the books and just whatever the parent wants to do, whatever you want to do, whatever you have time for in whatever season of life you are in. There have been times where I could do more, and there have been times where it was just RC. And you know what? When we did just RC, those were the most peaceful, happiest times. It's always when I started trying to add other little things, it started to build up. This tension of trying to get everything done, even though I knew that it wasn't absolutely necessary, but I had just, you know, invested money in something. I had just, you know, but you invest money in things and you feel like you need to do them. You have to be on the same page, obviously. If your husband is all on board, if your spouse is all on board with the method that you're doing, great. If he thinks, oh, they should be doing a little bit more, I think it's worth the compromise to maybe add something like CC to the mix, rather than scrape RC altogether and just go on and do a full boxed curriculum. Do you know what I mean? Like if your spouse wants them to do a little bit more, then I would just add something like CC, classical conversations, the memory work, just doing it at home yourself, versus scraping the whole RC program and doing like a full boxed curriculum. That's my opinion, just my opinion. Stay tuned because I will be doing, like I said, more videos on this, just with other subjects like science, history, things like that. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And if you have any comments on anything, if you have any comments on or questions on anything that I just went through, please just let me know and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you have video ideas for me, questions that you have about the RC method, please leave them in the comments below. I've done a lot of videos on it and I'm going to do a lot of more videos on them, so just let me know. I invite you to also check out my blog where there's lots of free resources and a place where you can contact me through there as well, and you can see a content calendar of videos that are coming your way. All right, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.